You know, my favorite track of Parasomnia has to be Bend the Clock, because that song, that has, at the end of it, it has this really amazing guitar solo. It's about 2.5 minutes long and it's so awesome, but they fade it out at the end. Probably because if they hadn't done that, John Petrucci would just kept on playing, and it kind of feels like that could have been much longer.
Hello everyone, I am Dan and
Bart.
we are from Armed Cloud and you're watching LiveProg with Marcel Haster. Rock and roll!
Hey everyone, welcome to LiveProg. I am Marcel Haster. Yeah, well, what can I say? I mean, everybody is talking about it. So I decided I want in on this. This gotta be the most anticipated album of 2025. I'm curious if there are albums that are much more anticipated than this one. I think there isn't. This one, and there's a reason for it, of course. Parasomnia is the brand new 16th, probably very hyped studio album of Dream Theater. And of course, there's only one reason why it is such a big deal, this album. Much bigger deal than all the previous albums. After, well, 12, 13 years, 14 years, I don't know, Mike Portnoy is back with his old buddies in Dream Theater. And that is why this album is so anticipated, because how would it be? What would it sound like? Well, here we have a band that performs pretty much as we know them, as we expect them, as we have come to love them, but with fresh energy. I really feel, that's the vibe I get off the album, I really feel that they're happy again, that they're really in a good place, and that shines through the music. I'm listening to this album, and I am not the biggest Dream Theater fan, but I absolutely love this one. Like I said, there's definitely a favorite song for me, and I'll go into it a little bit more, because of course it's not obviously just that guitar solo why I love it. I'm not going to do it track by track, but when you start the album, the first track is called In the Arms of Morpheus. That is an instrumental song. That first half of the song is a little bit weird. It's a little bit like a carnival, maybe even like a haunted house, because that's of course the vibe you definitely get from the artwork. And when you talk about the artwork, I gotta show you this. Open it up. You have this creepy CD cover. Yeah, it's a little bit creepy, but that's the whole vibe in the artwork. It's creepy. It's kind of a horror setting. You have In the Arms of Morpheus. The first half, like I said, it's kind of a bit of weird, but the second half of the song, that is the prog metal that we know, that we love. That is what you expect from Dream Theater. I gotta say, there's a little emphasis on the bass by John Myung on that track. It's really, I love it. I really love it. It moves into Night Terror. Night Terror was the first track that in 2024 was released, to get interest going and give people the first listen how the band sounded with Mike Portnoy again. I gotta say, from that song, when I heard Night Terror and I saw the video they did with it, I love the video, I love that song. That was a song, when I heard it, that was for me like, I think I want to have that album. I really think that was the moment when I thought like, wow, this sounds really great. This sounds fresh. They really sound like they're happy again making the music, and that's interesting. And speaking of that, the whole thing about the change, of course, with drummers, Mike Mangini out, Mike Portnoy back in. There's an interesting interview from another YouTuber, Belgian Jasper. He does lots of interviews. He recently did an interview with James LeBrie. And of course, they talk about this, and they said some interesting things there. I'll put a link up in the description. Check out that interview with James LeBrie where they talk about this album, but also, of course, about everything around Mike Portnoy getting back into the band. Because, like I said, that is probably the biggest thing. But then again, let's not overshadow it. For the music is really amazing. If you love Dream Theater, if you love the old stuff, if you love the new stuff, it doesn't matter. If you love great music, you really need to have this one. It's an awesome album. I'm really happy with that. Next up, there's a couple of tracks that I say like, that is Dream Theater as we love and we know. Broken Man, Dead Asleep. We have Midnight Messiah. That was another track that was being released. It was a heavier track in it. Most of the tracks are quite long. I mean, most of the tracks are like 7-8 minutes. We have Dead Asleep is clocks 11 minutes. And then we have another instrumental track. It's called Are We Dreaming? And I was like, okay, but that kind of morphs into Bend the Clock. So in a way, I was like, it sounds a little bit like a sort of filler track, maybe a little of an intro. Maybe they could have added it to Bend the Clock. But then again, Bend the Clock is also already clocking 7.5 minutes. Like I said, Bend the Clock is my favorite track on it. It's not a heavy track, it's more of a sort of a ballad. But what I love about it is that Dream Theater is known for their technical play, you know, 1,000 notes a minute, that kind of stuff. But with this one, this ballad, they kind of really tone it down a little bit. They really had some emotions in it, some atmosphere, some soul in the music. That's what I love. Also in James LeBrie's voice. And like I said, that guitar solo, I really love it because it is not this really fast technical thing. It is a really soulful guitar solo. And I really wish it would have gone on for a bit longer than that 2.5 minutes. But man, I love that song very much. And then it goes into the last track of the album, The Shadow Man Incident. Wow, that is a massive treat, clocking nearly 20 minutes. 20 minutes of fantastic music where everyone shines. It's just a delight to listen. So yeah, I am really happy with this album. I really feel that they got new, fresh energy. They're really in a happy place. That shines in the music. That makes this album really amazing. And that's why I say, just don't think, just get this album and listen to it. You're gonna love it. And despite the fact that it is a sort of a horror themed album, it doesn't really reflect in the music. Despite the fact that it is this horror-like artwork, it is these horror-like themes. Parasomnia is definitely not a nightmare, but it is really a dream that you would like to stay in for as long as possible.